Hi everyone, welcome back to week 26 of my Know by Year, the halfway point and the 7 days of conscious consumerism chats. I have foregone the blanket today. I don't need to be that cozy, I guess. It is summer after all. Today I wanted to talk about consumerism and content creation, kind of as a general thing. I explained yesterday why I had to unfollow or be more careful about some of the content that I've been watching. And I guess today I'm kind of going to unpack a little bit of the general impressions I get from content creation related to consumerism. And again, this is all my own opinion, my observations and my experience as a person who has chosen to remove herself from being able to consume by doing a Know by Year this year. So content creation has many niches, right? So there are lots of skill-based niches that one can share content from. Professionals that share content related to their profession. Doctors share medical stuff. Musicians share music stuff. Writers share writer stuff. Actors share acting stuff, etc. However, it does seem like there's a rise of lifestyle and stuff consumerism-focused content, at least a rise of what has come across my eyeballs in the recent years. And this stuff is promoted, and it makes sense because social media is kind of funded by advertising, right? Like your attention is the reason it's free, like it's the product that's being sold. That's the price you pay for using it, right? It's your attention, and your ability to buy something is why we get social media for free. I'm seeing more and more stuff-focused content, whether it's actual ads or creators who make ads in a way. This encompasses the hauls, the reviews, some of the style content, right, where it's mostly trying on trends or companies kind of sending people things to try. And I think this is popular partly because it is like the entry level. It's relatable, we all shop, we all have that in common. It seems like anybody can create this content, at least to some degree, maybe not in a great, engaging, captivating way, but anybody can create this type of content. It doesn't take special skills. I'm not saying that influencers don't get good at what they do. Certainly, some of them are very skilled at what they do, making the videos. It does take work, it does take planning, it does take skill to make a good video. But my point being, the activity they do in their video is something we all do. And so it seems accessible both to consume and to create in a way. So it's not like, if you compare this to a TV commercial or a non-influencer ad, right, where it's like there's a big budget, there's a set, there's a celebrity or an actor or a musician or somebody like that is not accessible. That is not a case of I can make this in my living room. It's easier to discern that as an ad that's geared to selling somebody an aspirational experience because it was produced, right? Whereas if I'm just talking about a piece of makeup in my bathroom, that's not produced. And I think actually that makes it harder to resist because it's relatable and slightly aspirational. And I think part of the aspirational aspect comes from when influencers succeed and they have a large following, it's a sign of some kind of popularity, some kind of cool, some kind of it girl factor. So it becomes aspirational in that way. And they're also making money off of it. So it's like, this is your job. Wow, I would love to shop for my job too. I'd love to get sent free stuff for my job. I'd love to be able to do work like that, share products with people. In some ways, it is an aspirational job as well. So another element to my perspective here is that I've tried badly to make content that does take skill in all of my music channels. So like I have a YouTube viola channel and TikTok and whatever, and I've not really committed to these things, but like what I've realized based on trying to create this content is that it's really not relatable. I can play something on the viola and not the majority of people, I was gonna say not many people, but like, you know what I'm trying to say. Not a lot of people can do what I'm doing, relatively speaking. There are other viola players, like I'm not trying to discount that. And I'm not trying to say I'm the best either. So it's not about quality. I'm just saying in a simple way, not everybody on the street can pick up a viola and play something on the viola. So it's not relatable. It's not always aspirational, like not everybody wants to play the viola. I don't know why, but like not everybody wants to. Not everybody needs to play the viola, that's for sure. And it took years to build the skills to be able to even create that piece of content of me playing the viola. It's time consuming. To prepare a new viola video with a new piece of music would take a few days or a week or, depending on the level I want to perform at, could take months. So it's not easy to churn that out. And I imagine it's similar for other kind of skill-based creators. The content might take more time to create. It might have taken years of experience to build up the skills. And this is not an in-depth analysis of people who have teams editing and filming for them, people who have like smaller outputs but get millions of views on one video that they post, once a month. It's not about that, right? The concept here is just that skill-based videos are harder to start making and to start gaining a following off of because they're harder to produce in the first place than it is to gain a following from doing shopping, reviews, hauls, try-ons, etc. Because anybody can go out and do that stuff. Not everybody is going to succeed, but anybody can start doing that, or it looks like anybody can start doing that. And like I said, the aspirational value is different as well. While not everybody wants to be a doctor, play the viola, do other skill-based things, acting, singing, whatever it might be, everybody on some level wants to have enough money to live comfortably and buy the things they need. So shopping is a part of everybody's life in a way, shape, or form, even if it's just for groceries. And then the other part of buying stuff can have an aspect of community, right? I've talked about this earlier this week, but like, we all want to be liked, we want to be in, we want to be not missing out. We certainly don't want to be an outcast, most of us. So it kind of has that aspirational value as well of like, if I'm buying this and I'm cool, then you can buy it and be cool too. And even the day in the life content endorses all of the stuff that that person has on the basis of this is what they like enough to have and keep on using. And even if they're not making the content to show the product, the incidental showing of the products is a kind of endorsement by that person. Spending money can also be unrelatable in that hauls and shopping and luxury goods especially can be out of reach for a lot of people, especially as the cost of living gets higher and higher. But it's almost like that creates a way for this content to thrive because it enables people to live vicariously or kind of watch out of envy, jealousy. Like, I would like to be able to do that kind of thing as well. I would like to not worry about money, even if it's not about buying the stuff. It's like, oh, that person doesn't have to worry about money. They can buy that. That's aspirational in a different way. And I guess the other thing about skills-based versus consumer-based content is that even if you do aspire to have that skill, it takes a lot of work and time and choices, conscious choices and actions to achieve that level and be able to do the skill or achieve the job or get the expertise. Whereas there's a straightforward path to buying something. If you don't have the money right now, you do something to get the money and then eventually buy it. Like, that's all it takes, really. So you can have what they have in a very linear step process. To have what I have if I put out a viola video, it's not a straight line. You can't just buy your way into being a good viola player. You have to do some work. Years of time have to pass while you're doing that work. It's like commitment has to be there. So you can't have what I have in a way. And that makes it sound kind of elitist or whatever. Like, you can have what I have. You absolutely can. Anybody. And I mean, I'm a music teacher as well. So like, I could teach you to do what I do, but it's going to take work and I can't sugarcoat that. It took me work. Is it a wise career choice? Probably not. So anyway, back to the consumer content. This encapsulates things like the reviews, the restocks, the trend recaps, the must-have lists, the try-ons, the comparisons, the other hauls. All of this will show more than a few things in all likelihood. So chances are there will be something in some of these pieces of content that most of us can afford. So that's kind of where it's dangerous too. Like, it's not all about luxury content, luxury bags, cars, and things that are so far out of reach that we don't even bother. It's the stuff that is in our reach, that's shown to us constantly, that becomes kind of the problem, where it's like, oh, I could buy that $20 lipstick, like, it's not a big deal, and I can feel better about myself, I can become closer to having that lifestyle that that person is showing me, and reach my aspirations in a way. So it makes the shopping an easy pastime, makes the watching things, wanting things, buying things into a kind of hobby. The other aspect of it is that it kind of makes making that content into a hobby as well. So many more people these days are starting to become content creators. I had that article in a video earlier about how almost half of Gen Z wants to be an influencer or whatever. And again, that's a factoid. Who are they polling? How many people did they ask? Again, thank you to Lena Norms for giving me the words to express that. I know that's an incomplete piece of information. But my point is, the general trend, and again, my inexpert opinion, is that more younger people see the appeal of influencing. And that's not a problem, right? I don't blame them. I don't blame anybody. I'm going to talk about that in the last video this week, so don't get mad at me yet. But I think it is a sign of a problem that being an influencer is a career, and in many cases, a product-based influencer is on the rise. So let's say people do become influencers. More people are doing this. Brands keep this cycle alive and well, and alive and vicious, with the cycle of free PR that enables them to create content, sponsorships that enable them to create content and get paid more, brand trips, which make it look even more aspirational to be creating this content. They get a huge reward for what they've been doing and the work that they've put in featuring all these products. So if you're a successful influencer, the cycle keeps itself going in a way. You know, you don't have to spend the money to create your content anymore. And it therefore just becomes more and more aspirational to those watching. They might start by posting the stuff that they bought with their own money and do genuine reviews, genuine comparisons, and then get an organic following that way. But after they start getting that following, if the ball starts rolling and people keep on watching, they'll start getting stuff for free, they'll start getting paid to talk about stuff, and then the ball gets bigger and snowballs, and here we go with an avalanche of it becoming a more aspirational job. Because they're not paying to make their content anymore, but they are being paid. So, to this point, I watched one of the creators who went to the Tarte Bora Bora trip. I watched one of their vlogs, and something really hit home watching that. These girls, these creators, some of them have net worths in the millions from their content posting on TikTok. And they're lifestyle creators, taglines of, you know, just sharing my life. So not skills-based, not based on something that took years to cultivate. Now, a lot of these people do have years of experience posting on medias, and I'm not saying that their content doesn't take skill to create, but what they show is not a skills-based activity. That's my distinction here, okay? So anyway, these people with net worths in the millions go on this trip to Bora Bora for free. That would cost a normal person maybe $10,000, right? I know this because I looked into it for a possible honeymoon trip. To go to Bora Bora is kind of on my dream bucket list. It's on many people's, right? It's like known to be super beautiful with the blue water and the over ocean huts and all that. It's like a once in a lifetime thing for many people, a dream that may not become a reality. So I see these people get to go for free, and I know that for me, it would take years and years of saving my money, of possibly not even being able to go for the next 18 years or whatever until all of my kids are adults and I can leave with good conscience. And my personal net worth is not even 6 figures here. It's probably not even 5 figures, but I don't want to think about that right now. I would be struggling to put away enough money to make this dream a reality for a long time. And here this brand just takes this huge group of influencers and their partners to do my dream trip for free, and then they make content to offer this trip and get paid more. So this is the kind of, like, I aspire to do this trip, I can see this content, and I don't hate the creators. If anything, like, more power to them. What would I do if I was offered that trip for free, right? Why would you say no? And it's not their fault either. I don't blame them. And again, come back on Saturday before you get mad at me or think I'm just salty. But I also kind of feel like that's the type of insult to injury that makes it hard to stop watching, right? Like, I think they know what they're doing, the brands and the people on top of these sponsorships. It's all a tactic. I know, like, waist baiting and rage baiting and all this is becoming more of a labeled thing where you watch because you can't not watch, you're mad about it or you're outraged about it, or like people get attention through those ways. And I think this might be a little bit of that happening as well. The aspirational piece of like, wow, they get to have that for free, or they get to make their money doing that? Like, what the heck? And this keeps us watching. This keeps us on the social medias. And I guess this is where we get to the influencer feedback loop. So it reminds me a little bit of the podcast, If Books Could Kill. They did a bit on, there was a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. And basically that book and that productivity guru's sources of income are all about, he wrote this book that sold a bunch of copies that made him money so he could just write these books. Like, it's a cycle. Like, he's selling people how to do this job, and people buy his information on how to do this job so he can keep doing that job. Like, it's just a cycle, right? There's another productivity person on YouTube that I think kind of does a very, very similar thing, and they've even written a book on productivity too. So it's like, let me teach you how to make money on YouTube. Let me teach you how to be more productive. By the way, I made a course on how to be more productive. You should buy it, and then you can learn how to do that. And then that course becomes part of their next update of like, by the way, I made $4 million off of this course that I made, and you can make a course too. And I'll give you this course on how to make a course to make it easier for you. So you see how it's like kind of a loop? I think influencing itself is kind of a bit like that in a way as well. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy kind of market. And by the way, I also bought that creator's productivity book, so who's the fool now? Going back to the earlier scenario though, like, what if you aspire to become an influencer like that and you aren't successful? Because not everybody can be chosen to succeed, right? Not everybody can achieve the levels of success to be invited to Bora Bora. I think this is where the other damaging aspect comes in, because The people who aspire to do this and fail are out the startup costs. They're out whatever they've invested to try to make this their career, and they might have put off doing something else in the hopes of, I see a lot of videos that are like, oh, I quit my job to become an influencer or whatever. And it's like, I just don't know if this is the right path to be going on. Are these the right values that humanity should be following? Are we going to lose all the essential people that we need? And more on that tomorrow, because I have thoughts about just influencing as a job in general, and like whether it's valid, whether it's necessary, and just where we're going. But back to the point of people trying to be influencers, I think it's damaging on multiple levels, not just financially, but psychologically. If you can't break into the cool crowd, if you're posting videos on your life for years and you only have 1,000 followers or 500 followers or 20 followers, whatever, you have low numbers of followers, I think that could be mentally not that great, because these people on the internet don't think you're cool enough or that your life is cool enough to be worth watching. And then these other people have millions of followers and all they do is shop and buy stuff. Like, you're shopping and buying stuff too, and somehow it's not good enough. Gives me not good feelings. Pulling it back again to the skills-based content, I can see how it makes sense for people who have invested energy into cultivating skills to maybe be taking advantage of the PR and sponsorships because they do have the expertise to know enough to recommend a product in their niche. So like, if I was recommending a brand of viola strings, it's because I literally use that every day. I've literally tried 20 different types of strings and I play in a professional symphony. I have the credibility to know what I'm talking about. And I just don't know how much credibility can be developed in professional shopping. There are exceptions, right? There are channels that talk about quality of fabrics and stitching and what to look for in your garments and all that. And I respect that as well. You could also argue that there are skills based in people who become successful influencers because they've got a personality, they know how to present themselves, they've figured something out, and I get that as well. Like, I see that. And I do think these things can be cultivated. So there's things to learn from all angles, right? There's no perfect answers. I'm not condemning anybody for anything. These are questions that bubble to the surface. I would love to read any comments you have, because inevitably it creates more questions and more introspection for my own growth and development, as well as other people's in this community, I think. But yeah, I think, at least for me personally, my tolerance for sponsored content in areas that take less skill to create, the lifestyle content, the content that's more about shopping and reviews, which I honestly don't really watch anymore, I think my tolerance for sponsors in that field has just really gone down. And even in the areas of like minimalism, because that's also a lifestyle, I think my tolerance has kind of reached the limit of what I'll be able to put up with as far as ads and PR. So yeah, I don't know. I think influencing has kind of become possibly the easiest way to make money in sales. The other terrifying thing, I saw an article that AI might start doing the influencing for companies. It's terrifying on one hand because now people don't even have to do it and get paid for it, but companies can not pay somebody and just use AI. But on the other hand, is that kind of defeating the point of the parasocial relationship? I hope that humanity won't let AI out and about on social media without being disclosed as AI. So hopefully we won't have the same parasocial relationship conundrums with AI influencers. But anyway, that's a fresh topic in my mind. I literally just read the article this morning, so I don't really have much to say on that. But thank you to the Index app for sharing that article with me in my email box. Not sponsored, obviously, but that's where I got that article. The plot thickens. All right, I'm going to stop there for now and leave some room to talk about influencing as a job in tomorrow's video. I'll see you later. Bye for now.